Okay, welcome to Into the Channel podcast, primarily about women's football. I am your host, Dino De Cespedes, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, Mr. Grant Engel. What is up, man?
I'm feeling fantastic, buddy. I know we've said it a couple times already when we recapped Spain's victory over Germany, but we're here, man. We made it to the final, 2025 Women's Euro. I mean, it's been a great tournament so far, and the crown jewel is still up for grabs.
That's right. The world's greatest women's football podcast. No, the European Championship, UEFA 2025. Let's get to it. England and Spain, big congratulations. In terms of like predictions, you had Spain in your final. I had England in my final. We'll eventually get to some picks. We'll talk about some players to watch. I want to get into some matchups to watch. Kind of identified a few that I think are fun. I want to get into. So much to cover. The final coming up Sunday, 9 a.m. Pacific. Mr. Grant Engel, where do you want to get started?
Well, I think we should get started by just talking about how we got here. And let's do that with a beverage, with a refreshment.
Let's go.
Can I call this the third? Sounds great. Can I call this the third to last? Or the what would you call it? Well, I mean, penultimate is second to last. I'm not sure what third to last is, but we have a beer for this show. Obviously a beer for the final, and then maybe like we'll do some kind of retrospective. And I think that would conclude a several beer series.
Yep. It's the Trent Ultimate Beer. Cheers.
Cheers to you. Cheers to the football. Cheers to the word Trent Ultimate that may or may not actually be a word. I'm not sure.
Hopefully it's not a terribly offensive word that has like awful connotations. But real quick, I want to shout out some of our friends before we get to it. I know I asked you where you want to get started, so I'm going to preempt that, or I'm going to just sideswipe it a little bit and just mention some of our friends that I want to kind of call out. We made a bunch of new friends during this Euros, as mentioned. We expanded the tentacles. We produced a bunch of shows. We got extra sleepy on the Sleepy Boys podcast. It was a sleepy summer, but I think we survived. We're still awake. Stay posted to see how long that lasts. But Lbeg323. Megmo, my guy Mark Gibbs, my card corner brother Mark Gibbs. I appreciate you, bro. Summer Cook. How about John Rollins? Loud and Proud Orlando. Straight wilding in our comment section. Just giving it to the England detractors. Just letting them know you do not come to the ITC comment section and talk down about the Lionesses. Carlo, you already know. Clawhammer. And I had one more. Justin Williams, you already know what time it is. We love you, Justin. But our guy, MLS, I don't know, definitely ITC community member, Hall of Famer, an eloquent chap. I think we could say that, right?
Of course.
But MLS got into it in our comment section. I'm not going to mention the user that started the conversation, but anonymous user says, sorry, but what do football coaches tell their goalkeepers? Quote, guard your near post, end quote. Honestly, that was a poor goal to give away by Germany in extra time. And our guy, MLS, responds, Spain won. Germany nil. Suck on that. Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
All right. Yeah, sure. Yeah, that translates in any language, MLS. I guess that's fair game.
A little off brand for a guy.
Yeah, seriously.
That one caught me off guard this morning, but got a good chuckle out of it. And I just really appreciate everybody, opening up, sharing their thoughts, sharing their emotions, sharing their experience of watching the tournament with us and with others.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, just consistently dropping knowledge. I mean, Blaugrana Blood, another new friend we've made during these Euros, maybe shortly before the Euros. Look for Blaugrana Blood's social media. Barcelona focused coverage. Obviously, talking about Spain as well. Super informative, researched stuff. I think you mentioned Carlo P3, speaking of the Spanish contingent. Hizzy Young, always rocking with us. Appreciate you, Hizzy. KKLC, always hanging out too. Just knowers of ball, friendly people, maybe the occasional outburst, but that's okay. We're talking football. We're talking sports. It's all right. We can keep it friendly for the most part.
Hell yeah. This is a friendly space. It's a learning space, but I want to talk some football. The more I kind of dug into this final, there's just so many juicy ways to look at it, some storylines, some angles. There's the revenge angle. There's the like kind of who wears the crown angle. You've got the European champions, you got the World Cup champions. But where do you want to get started talking about the match?
Let's talk about the challengers for this trophy anyway. Let's talk about Spain.
Like young up and comers.
Oh, yes, of course. Obviously, the plucky underdogs from Spain. 17 goals for, 3 goals against if you combine the group stage and the knockout stage. Led in minutes by 31-year-old Alexia Putellas, two-time Ballon d'Or winner, of course, and Patrick Guijarro, 27-year-old, with 479 and 476 minutes, respectively. They've been objectively pretty great, I would say. Alexia, not a huge match against Germany, but that's a luxury that they have where their two-time Ballon d'Or winner doesn't play that great. But the other two-time Ballon d'Or winner scores the winner. Spain's margin of victory, I thought this was a fun little stat. It's kind of been dwindling as the tournament has gone on. They won the first match by 5, second match by 4, then 2 and 2, and then 1 against Germany. So that margin of victory is just kind of climbing down. But the tournament's got more trending in a good direction if you're an England supporter. But the tournament's also got more difficult. You got more minutes under your belt. The games are higher leverage. So Spain is incredible. They're ranked number 2 in the FIFA rankings for a reason. The reigning World Cup champions. But this tournament was not totally a walk for them. And I think that probably surprised at least 1 or 2 people.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, Germany matchup was it was a tough matchup. They were tested for sure. But a couple players that you mentioned, obviously Alexia, 3 goals, 4 assists, incredibly productive, maybe cool. I wonder if her lighter weight game versus Germany had anything to do with Alexandre being out. And just kind of like the distribution a little bit differently, like the ball just was going in different directions. But to your point, great luxury to have a player like that just eating up defensive attention, in the middle of the park. But I wanted to talk about Bathri, who's just been awesome. So over the course of the Euros, Bathri's leading Spain in touches, tackles, interceptions, blocks, and completed passes. She's got 48 more completed passes than the second highest in the entire tournament, which would be her teammate, Irene Paredes, who is also balling. I think that pairing, that center back pairing, Paredes and Alexandre, to me, that's the first key of the game for me. Can England do anything with those two players? I mean, I think those two specifically, super stout defensively, but then the distribution, they get the ball, they move it along, and now all of a sudden you had an opportunity in a dangerous area. You're sort of in the final third or in and around, or maybe sneaking in, and all of a sudden the ball is going the other way. And now you're in your defensive third. So I think when I'm thinking about the keys, those two players, that's like the first place I'm thinking about.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, we talk about it. You can give a lot of publicity to Spain's incredible scores, the magic that Bonmatí can create on the field. Claudia Pina, one of the most informed strikers in the world, as we've talked about many times. The defense sets the tone, man. Like it's their press, and those attacking players, they are terrorizing the opponent in that press. And then if by some luck or grace or like great skill, you're able to get past that press, now you're contending with those great defenders as well. So yeah, I think that's going to be a key. I'll go with a key to the match on England's side. Then I think it's going to have to be beating that press, to your point, and being able to challenge those defenders, to make those center backs have to work. You have to be able to get past that. And, that's going to be on Alex Greenwood. That's going to be on Keira Walsh, Georgia Stanway. And they had some moments, I was kind of looking back through the tournament. England had some really positive results. What about that France matchup though? They were getting cooked in some of those spaces in the middle of the field, and it was because Stanway and Walsh were giving the ball away, and France punished them. You give the ball away against Spain, you're definitely going to get punished by them as well.
I'm really curious to see what Wiegman does defensively. Because when you rewind back, I went back and checked the 2023 World Cup, and it looked like Wiegman was either at a back. According to the internet sources, a back 3, but it looked like a back 5 just because they had bronze on the outside of one end, and I'm blanking on who they had on the other side. But I'd be curious to see how Wiegman sets up defensively. if you're thinking it's either Jess Carter or Esme Morgan at center back, potentially against the Spain side, that could, pose some problems for sure if you're in that traditional back four. Are you expecting any kind of changes from Wiegman? Because I think there was one that I'm also curious about up front. So what kind of lineups are you expecting?
Real quick, in 2023, Rachel Daly was on that squad, so she was playing a lot of like that kind of like left wing back type. I'm a huge Rachel Daly guy, big fan of her. Like, I mean, a great striker in the WSL, and had the commitment and the toughness to play like wing back for the Lionesses in the Euros and that World Cup. I think we're going to see more of the same. I actually took a screenshot of it to make sure I didn't screw it up. But if I had to guess, I think England lines up. Obviously, Hampton in goal, Bronze, Williamson, Morgan, Greenwood, Walsh, Stanway, James, Toon, Hemp, and Russo up front would be the 11 that I think she's going to have to put out there. But
so no changes.
No changes. And I think with one caveat, obviously Lauren James's health is, the concern there, but the fact that she went out after the half, hopefully she's had some time to rest and heal. The one caveat there I would say to Wiegman's style is, when I talk about beating that press, you're going to need to have constant movement off the ball. You're going to have to be constantly looking for space. I think Wiegman might have to go to the bench a little earlier than we've seen her do in the past.
I could definitely see that. My question, and it's tough because there's a lot of really good players, but I'm not sure how you keep Chloe Kelly out of the starting lineup, assuming she's healthy, because it's a little bit past the, oh, she's playing really well, and like, oh, super sub. Like, this is a real injection of like, she's been a tournament saver, like she's got to like, I don't know, keeping England in the tournament for sure. So it's a dangerous game. We talked about how late Wiegman made some of those changes. I'm not sure how comfortable I would feel. You look at LJ, I love LJ. I'm probably like the world's biggest LJ fan, I would say. My favorite player, 5 shots, 2 goals versus the Netherlands in a back against the wall matchup in a huge spot. In the other 4 appearances, 9 shots, 2 on target, 0 goals. So There was something about that Netherlands match. Maybe it was health or fitness, or maybe it was just the moment. But I think there is an opportunity here. There's an opportunity here for a few different players. I think there's an opportunity for a Chloe Kelly to kind of like now move into legendary. Now I'm just this player. I'm like just this like the clutch player of a generation, maybe. Like that's maybe possible depending on what happens in this final. I think LJ has a chance to kind of like move into that upper echelon Ballon d'Or type conversation with a huge performance here. Russo maybe has some potential there. Hannah Hampton, I think, has some potential. Like, these are players that I think, legacy wise, I mean, massive, massive stakes. So you think about the game, but then like there's so much history woven into what's going to happen in this match and what we'll remember for so many years out into the future. Makes it a really compelling proposition.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think we're going to have a Hannah Hampton game, I think. In the last 2 matches, when Spain beat Switzerland, they were, I'm going to do some of this off the top of my head. They were 6 shots on target out of 23 total shots, and that's 26%. And then in the match against Germany, they were 4 shots on target out of 15, which I think roughly also equates to like 26%. I'll take more of that, please, as an England supporter. Like, I like them, getting less than 30% of their shots on target. And I feel good about Hannah Hampton in that proposition. The only thing is, some of those shots on target might be Claudia Pina wonder strikes, or just a missile from, Bonmati, or, Patry might let one loose, or, Battier might get a rebound and fire one into the corner or something like that. Yeah. Or, and as much as I admire her, and I was thinking about this more and more as we were kind of doing this, like the Olga Carmona goal in the World Cup final is like, I think part of the reason why I enjoy watching her play so much. I know that sounds weird as a guy who like supports England, but like she's just that kind of player. And like when she kind of stepped up, she's like on the left wing. I can still see it happening. For what I had to watch that game at like 5 a.m. or whatever on the here in Seattle, and she just steps up from the wing and just blasts it into the corner to beat Earps. And I was like, well, shit, I I didn't see that coming that much. She had it in her game, but anybody from Spain can score. But I also have pretty good faith that Hampton can stop any shot.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that Carmona goal, I watched it today too, just before you brought it up. Definitely shades of the Aitana goal, totally different angle. The Aitana goal to beat Berger to make it to the final. I'm glad you brought up Olga Carmona because she'll be on that same side versus Lucy Big Game Bronze. We might get Lucy Big Game Bronze versus Olga Game just as big Carmona, who scores in the World Cup. Just is at that same level. It's like, all right, let's see who's got the bigger game here. That's going to be a fun battle. We mentioned Hannah Hampton, who I thought had some really big moments. Katakoi, I think, has been massive as well. And I mentioned it on our last show. I thought was the reason, not the reason, but without her, I'm not sure that Spain gets past Germany. And you could look at Nanglades, who started the first 3 matches for Spain. Well, let's look at Katakoi. Last 2 matches, 4 shots on target against 4 saves, 0 goals allowed. Again, this is in knockout football. Against Switzerland, the home country, against Germany, for pretty much all the stakes. And then you look at Nanglades in the knockout stage, in the group stage, 3 matches, 6 shots on target against 3 saves, 3 goals allowed. So big difference between Nanglades' performance and Katakoi. And I think Katakoi is just, it's tough to grade her, as mentioned. She's not as tested as some of these other keepers, but she is, the 1A for the best club team in the world and the 1A for either the first or second best, international team in the world. So that's definitely got to count for something. Hannah Hampton on the other side will get tested, as mentioned, but I think, she's stepped up, I think, really big in this tournament. She's had a lot more work to do. 19 shots on target faced, 13 saves, 6 goals allowed. But obviously England has faced a bunch of flux defensively. And I think I would say absolutely has faced a tougher competition. You look at France, you look at Netherlands, you look at Sweden. I think Italy also. Italy, both sides had to face Italy, but England for sure the tougher road. But I think the goalkeeping edge, I think probably has to go to Spain and Katakoi.
Yeah, that's probably fair. It's close, man. I was thinking about this tournament. I know we talk about in NWSL, you have Ann Katrin-Berger and Kaylin Sheridan and Lorena, in goal. And then I was thinking about this tournament. You have Coy, Hampton, Falk, Berger again now in this tournament, obviously.
Yeah. Anna Morehouse.
And there's Anna Morehouse, obviously.
I thought Giuliani for Italy was good too.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. Yeah, just a ton of great goalkeepers all over the world. But I was thinking about what a good goalkeeping tournament this has been. Some really, acrobatic, amazing saves, great instincts, things like that. But yeah, you'll just have to see. I'm going to go back to the 2023 World Cup final. I want to say somewhere in maybe the 15th minute, somewhere around there, I think. Another moment that kind of lives rent-free in my head. Lauren Hemp hits the crossbar. It's just man, getting the opener would have been real nice in that scenario. Now, Spain probably could have had 2 in that first half. They got the 1 from Carmona, as previously mentioned. But Earps was showing up huge, so it's hard to say could they have got 2. I don't know, man. I think it's an edge to Coy, but I only think it's a slight edge.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not sure it's going to come down to the goalkeeping, but I think it's definitely worth the conversation.
No doubt.
Managers was the next one I wanted to think about. Obviously, Serena Wigman's got the experience, championship experience, dating back a long time. But Montse Tomé, I think, after somewhat of a rocky start, taking over for Vilda, caught her stride really, really well. Seems to have a good handle on what's going on, a good handle on the rotation. Because it just felt like there's been a lot of, good rotations, a lot of good. It feels like everybody's gotten minutes.
Yeah, no doubt. If you think about who's leading England in minutes, you have Alex Greenwood. She's over 500 minutes.
Wow.
What I think I said. High 400s, 479 and 476. So Greenwood's over 500, and then Lucy Bronze, Kira Walsh, and Leah Williamson are all over 450 minutes apiece. So when matches go into extra time, you're going to need players who are on the pitch for a long time. I'll be interested to see how that plays out. But no, I think this is the second time I mentioned Alex Greenwood. I said she's going to have to be key in beating the press. Greenwood is leading England in touches. She's leading them in interceptions with 12. She's leading them in crosses with 32. And she's tied for first in recoveries with Williamson. And, she's going to have to be huge. 31-year-old defender from Manchester City Football Club. She's had good moments. She's come up big in this tournament. I just tell you, man, I'm an England supporter. I'm a wee bit worried.
What weak points are you thinking about?
I'm concerned that Williamson, Morgan, and Greenwood, frankly, I think they might have a real hard time with the press when it's coming from Caldente, who is one of the smartest players in the world, especially the way she presses. And you have Caldente, Esther Gonzalez, and Claudia Pina pressing you. And then the second wave of players pressing you are Patry and Bonmati and Alexia. You could be in big trouble here. And I think that leads me to another point when we think about, trying to get the ball forward and trying to get the ball in, not just in, the attacking half, but the attacking third for England. Who is leading England with the most touches in the attacking third? You have Lauren Hemp at 144. You have Lauren James. She's third with 122. And sandwiched in between with 136 touches in the attacking third, Lucy Big Game Bronze.
I knew it.
Now, how many opportunities is Lucy Bronze going to have with the ball in the attacking third while Spain is just running down your neck on the other side?
Yeah, it won't be too many because it'll be Olga on that side.
It's Olga and Pina on that side.
Yeah, that's painful.
It's tough.
And this is where I thought the France matchup that you called out early in the show pretty prescient, because what did we see in that France matchup? We saw France controlling, like the real estate, and then England having to defend, having to like win the ball back and scrap. And then you're seeing these like big players that are primarily creators, like the LJs and the Hemps. And, I don't think Alatuna was playing in that game, but you just didn't see the same level of team defending as you saw from like some of those teams that adopted defense as their DNA, like the Italys and the Swedens. And, like it just was not at the same level. And now England won't be playing this match on the front foot like they had played, the following four matches after the France loss. Now it's going to go back a little bit to, I think even more so, it's going to go back to, can you defend? Can you stay disciplined, be in those passing lanes, think a little bit more opportunistically? And then can you find success offensively through the center of the park, through Keira Walsh, through Stanway, or are you just kicking Hail Marys, over the top or, up the sidelines and hoping that you hoping that somebody could beat somebody else one-on-one? Because if that becomes the game plan early, which I don't expect it to, but if it does, I think that's a bad sign for England.
It certainly will be. And you have to look at where's Alessia Russo getting the ball? If she's 5 yards on the defensive side of the center circle, then you're in real trouble. Because now think of how many more passes you have to get before you're even really putting any stress on Spain's defense. So, I think those are all very concerning. And I think it's worth noting that, England still had 57% of the ball in that match against France. They were just getting fried in a lot of those situations where France would be running the ball back up. And we know that, we know France has a want and definitely an ability to play that kind of counterattack, kill you kind of football on the rush. So, yeah, I mean, the tricky part when any team is going up against Spain is they can do all of it. Now, they tend to, dominate possession. It's Spanish football in general. But then, there could be those opportunities where Lauren James gets the opportunity. She gets down on the wing. She plays the ball across. It doesn't hit the target. And then now Paredes is running. And like you talked about earlier, getting the ball forward, using great distribution, couple touches. And now Pina or Mariona are flying down the wing with runners in the middle of the field. I mean, you have to prepare for everything against Spain, and that's just going to leave your team stretched in a lot of different situations.
I think you've nailed a couple different. I mean, this is England, so it's your team. You know them, more intimately than I do. But I'm in full agreement with you that I think you nailed the two areas where England's going to be the most vulnerable. One is when they're backed up into their own third, and
Yeah,
they just get the ball nicked away, and you could just see, getting swiped by Mariona or Pina or Alexia
yep.
in a spot like that. I think that's a real point of danger. The second one is transition, like you mentioned. You could imagine a Lucy Bronze getting pulled upfield, or an Alex Greenwood now wants to be at the edge of the box. And I'm not sure who it's going to be, if it's going to be Carter or Morgan. It's probably going to be Morgan. But, I've seen, as an Arsenal fan, I've seen Williamson in transition kind of struggle a little bit when she's got to rotate her hips and kind of get around and go from backpedaling to rotate full speed. That's a tough kind of motion for her for whatever reason. And I think England in transition is it's just not the right look. And then it leads me then to a player that I've thought a lot about for Spain, which is Sama Pariuelo, a player that we haven't talked about too much, who got chances against Germany, got in good positions, got into dangerous spots. I think we could see some Pariuelo magic late in this one, especially if something like that we're talking about, like a transition opportunity the other way. I think Pariuelo is like the perfect counterpunch to that type of situation. So, who knows, a game within a goal, or maybe even down the stretch. I think a Pariuelo on the counter is another risky thing I think that England's going to have to look out for.
I think she's appeared in every match, and I'm not. I think she's only started a couple, but yeah, I mean, she is a clear weapon off the bench. Just an injection of speed and spirit and smarts. Who's going to come on there and put pressure on your defense? So yeah, I think it's the right call out by you, and it's no relief. So like, who comes off for her? Is it Esther? Is it Claudia Pina? And then you're like, oh, okay, thank goodness one of those extremely dangerous players are coming off. And you look on the sideline, here comes Pariuelo to come, smoke you on the run. So, like, I don't mean to like totally sound like England has no chance. I mean, they have, like I said, they have great players. They have the skill to do these things. And do I expect Kira Walsh and Georgia Stanway to both have a bad game? Like, I don't. Like, they're great players who know these Spanish players, by the way. Played against them, played with them. But it's just, it's always an uphill battle versus Spain.
No, it's going to be really tough. I think the best they can hope for, and it's weird, man, because like that Germany game plan, and like, it's funny. I went through the whole German roller coaster this year, I like picked up the whole thing, just trashed them. They kind of like broke my heart and stepped on my pinky toe. And then I come back and I just was like really happy with their performance against Spain, and was, just very celebratory for how they played. No knock on England. I like England. I like the players. I don't think that they could do that same thing that we saw Germany do, which was just sell out physically, just be everywhere, and just, give all of it to the cause, and the cause being, let's take this to PKs and see if Clarabou or Lebron could like steal one at some point. The right game plan. I don't think that England can do that, and I feel like England might find itself against a team that kind of wants to play the same way, but maybe is better suited from a personnel standpoint to do so.
I think you're 100% right. And the caveat I would throw on that is they won't be able to do that. They won't be able to utilize that kind of game plan for 75 minutes of the match. What I think England has to do is maybe they can do that for 60 minutes of the match. But they have to have, however it's sprinkled in, if it's 15 minutes in the first half, 15 minutes in the second half, they have to have 30 good minutes across these 90 where they are dictating some of the pace of the match. And they're not completely flustered by the press, where they can get into their stuff and do some of their English football, control some of the pace of the game, pass it around, move it from side to side, and try to create a shot, try to create a run for Alessia Russo, get Lauren Hemp out there playing physical wing play, whipping crosses in. Your point about Chloe Kelly, I don't know if I don't think I'm like overly superstitious, but yeah, I think it would be a gigantic swing to be like, okay, Chloe, now you're starting. Like, do I think
Yeah.
she's capable? Yes, but like she's been awesome. Now, I think again, I'm probably just feeding into my own thought process here, but maybe you bring her on at 65. Like maybe you bring her on at 60, depending on how things look. I think in that World Cup final, Wiegman took Alessia Russo off at halftime and put on Chloe Kelly. Who else did she take off? She took off Rachel Daly and put on Lauren James at halftime in that
Mm.
final. We'll see how she adjusts in this one, but if you're England, it's unrealistic. And yeah, this is just who Spain is. Again, we're based in the USA, we have our biases, whatever. Any team playing against Spain, you're not winning the possession battle. I don't care who you are. Like,
Right.
we like the USA. They have a lot of great players. You're not beating Spain in the possession battle. No
Yep.
chance. So you have to be able to figure out where are our spots? When can we kind of start to dictate the run of play for a little while? And then how do we get back into a defensive shell and counter all these great players from Spain? And I think that's going to be the combination to give England a real chance to win.
Yeah, I think the defensive shell is definitely key. It's reminding me of a couple data points versus Germany, where Spain had like something like 380 or 390 touches in Germany's half, but only like less than 40 in inside Germany's box. So that kind of told me that Germany was like just controlling that little chunk of field between the halfway line and the 18, and just saying, okay, you could knock it around here, but this is where we draw the line, kind of defensively. I think England's going to have to do the same. And, to your point on who they have out there, you're going to have to counter, so it's
Yeah.
probably going to have to be a lot of Lauren Hemp, and,
Yes.
like then what is Alessia Russo's role? Is it kind of like get down there and let's hold it up and let's try to get the body in between the ball and the defender, and then let's send in the cavalry, to your point, LJ, maybe Ella Toon, Hemp, I'm sure will beat everybody there. She'll already be there, just checking her watch and, probably guzzling a protein shake. So she'll be ready. And I think I'm going to be interested to see the offensive approach that Wiegman employs, as well as the first 10, 12 minutes, because I feel like if you're going to get Spain and you need a goal, you mentioned that Hemp chance in the World Cup. That was a heartbreaker, very close. But if I recall correctly, I feel like Hemp had some space on that one and was in a pretty decent area. And Spain will do that. They'll kind of work themselves into the match in that way. They're not going to come out from the first whistle and just be all in your shorts. Like they'll kind of work up a sweat and take a little time to do so. So I think that first 8, 10, 12 minutes for England could also be really clutch. If they can score there, to your point, I think that really changes things in a huge way.
That's a great point. I mean, now I've also, had the thought process that sometimes scoring early just pisses off Spain, and then they come back, with the hammer after that. But yeah, I mean, I think the key for England is try to get one in the first half. Again, this is my incredible analysis of score goals, but you're going to need them, and it's an absolutely fascinating matchup from what you said between the duel between Tomei and Wiegman, and then all the players on the pitch. Obviously, is what we're tuning in for. I think we're in for just a barn burner, to use an American phrase, a real slobber knocker, if you will. For all of our new, we've already had a lot of European pals, but for all the new European pals. I'll hit you with more American slang here as we move forward, but I think it's going to be a good game, is what I'm trying to say here.
Love it. All right, I think it's about time to make some predictions. And you want to go first? You want me to go first?
You go ahead.
I kind of got let off the hook a little bit because, as mentioned up top, I had I had Germany to beat England in the final. So I thought long and hard about what would happen here, and my thought process, I think coming into the tournament, one of the first key things, that I was just like, I'm not sure I could get past this notion, was it's really fucking hard to win two of these things in a row. Like, just there's a reason that we don't get a lot of repeat World Cups or repeat Euros, repeat Olympics. It's just a thing. It's just really, really hard. And I think I came into this tournament thinking it would be tough on England to get that done, and obviously Spain's looked really good. They've looked like the best team. I think England's cut it really close. I think they easily could have lost either of those knockout stage matches. They did lose to France. So they're here because they're champions and they've got that championship DNA. They know how to win. They know how to not lose. So I do think this one will be crazy competitive. I think penalty kicks have been the flavor of the tournament. I don't think it's going to go to penalty kicks, but I do think it's going to go to added extra time. And I think my little curveball that I'm going to throw is I think it's 1-1 when we go to added extra time. And I think Spain hang 2 on England and they win 3-1 in 120 minutes. And a little icing on the cake, I think Barriuelo gets one of those last 2 goals against a tired England defense to kind of ice it. And then we set the stage for 2027. At that point, you'd have Spain, a couple different banners hanging. And then USA, obviously, the reigning number 1, the reigning Olympic champion, that long resume, and the potential for just a massive pay-per-view style, matchup in 27.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like it. I like the specificity. Look, I picked Spain to win this tournament before a ball was even kicked. I do not think they're nearly as tired as they were before that Olympic tournament. And also, I've just heard you see sometimes on WOSO Reddit or some other social media, and I know we talk about WOSO social media sometimes, and it is a better version of social media than most other sports social media. So I'm going to give it a little more gravitas than others. But you'll see the occasional take of the Olympics, it's not a real football tournament. And I just got to say, I completely dismiss that. Usually I'll listen to people's ideas, but people have tried to lessen the USA's win in the Olympics. I'm sorry, were all the best teams except for Team Great Britain there? Did all the best teams have pretty much their full complement of players? Yes, they did. Mm-hmm. But in that case, you could see the exhaustion in Spain's side. I don't think that exists in this tournament. I don't think there's any evidence that has existed in this tournament. So to my pals, Meg, Mark, and John, obviously, I'm sorry. I picked Spain to win this tournament before a ball was kicked. I know I support England. I know I've rooted for them since I was 12 years old playing FIFA, but I picked Spain to win.
Sorry,
and I
Blade.
think they're going to... Yeah, Blade as well. Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, now I doubly disappointed Blade by not mentioning him in the mix. Sorry, pal. I think it's gonna be 2-1 Spain, and I don't think it's gonna get to extra time. And I think Alexia Putellas is gonna score a goal somewhere between the 80th and the 90th minute, and I think she's going to lift the trophy, and I think her teammates will celebrate her as one of the greatest players who ever lived, as they should.
All right, I like it. All right, so you heard it here. It's either going to be Spain 2-1 or Spain 3-1. Just head down to your. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Just go watch the match.
Head down to your local sports book. Enjoy it. I believe Spain is minus 135 in. I don't know why I'm saying I believe. It's A from your boy. I'm aware. Spain is minus 135.
It's been confirmed.
Yeah, you know what? My sources are telling me. It's Spain minus 135, and I think now this one.
What's the draw?
Shameful.
What are we looking at?
Shameful that I don't even have it off the top of my head. Yeah, Spain minus 135 to win in regulation. England plus 350 to win in regulation. The draw sitting at plus 260. Pretty good guess.
260. Okay.
Anytime goal scorers. Barriuelo is a plus 160. If you're interested in that, I gotta tell you,
don't bet that. Nobody bet that. Do not bet that, people out there.
We got to ask some questions of the people making these lines. Plus 155, anytime goal scorer, Elba Redondo. She has not played 1 minute in this tournament.
Don't bet that either.
Could you imagine if that hits, though? This will be a great clip afterward. But she hasn't played.
If that hits, I mean, Still, I would be pissed that you bet that that number is a terrible number. That number should be 10 times that, maybe more. All right, so we got our picks. We made our picks. Anything else you want to hit before we get out of here?
Lauren Hemp plus 340. I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
Wait, what was it? Plus 340?
Plus 340. I don't hate it. But anyway, all right. We'll take
it offline. Let's take it offline.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sign up for our Patreon for all our gambling. No, I'm just kidding.
There you go. Just look at whatever Carlo's prediction is in the comment of this video. Just bet that.
Yeah, go find Carlo. All right, man. I think we did it. This was another episode of Into the Channel. Thank you for hanging out. If you enjoyed the show or love it football as much as your boys do, make sure you kick it with us each and every single week. Like, subscribe, follow YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you like to watch or listen. Leave us a review over your favorite podcast app. Links to all of our socials except one in the show notes of this episode. And a big thank you to my co-host as well, Mr. Grand Angle, for being the only co-host that I would lift the trophy with at the same time. You know, along with that, I appreciate you, bro.
Likewise, buddy. The feeling is mutual, of course. And you know what? Again, all of you, for all of our new pals, all of the old pals, the OGs who've been hanging out with us this entire time. This has been incredible. Thank you guys for supporting the show, kicking knowledge in the comments. And you know what? One thing that is a sure bet, the Into the Channel community are the nicest damn people on the internet, a bunch of people who know ball. Thank you again for rocking with us, and we will see you all after the final.